All right, let's get it. Let's get it. Welcome, welcome. Back again, once again, time and time again, my friends. And you know what time it is? It is Monday. Actually, let me change that. The 20. What is it? Fourth. Yeah. It is Monday the 24th, and you know what we do over here, just a little market breakdown, quick live stream of the major pairs, just to get an idea of where the market is heading, coming up over the next few days, possible this week, possible moves. Do this live stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in between 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you are subscribed with the post notifications turned on. You will get a little update letting you know when I do go live or post any educational content on this channel. I think I have some really valuable education, so make sure you don't miss that. If you could, drop me a thumbs up. We're keeping it consistent here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in between 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I've been on a pretty good streak. It's what I'm supposed to do, so just give me some thumbs up for reinforcements and some positive affirmations in there. And go ahead and drop a comment if you would like to do that. You can hop in the chat as well. Let me know of any pairs that you would like for me to go over. Other than the majors, we'll go over those. But if there are any other pairs you would like for me to just analyze for you as well, give you a possible opportunity, go ahead and drop that in the chat. But without further ado, let's get right into it. We have XAU USD from the monthly time frame. We spoke about it in the past. We have previous structure support right in this area, once, twice, fourth time, broken and closed below, came back for the retest, and then it's now starting to make a move down below it. Just following the market structure. And if we look on the weekly time frame, what can we identify on the weekly? On the weekly is that we did have a level in the market. This is previous structure resistance. We want to see now acting as support, and as we drop down on it, you can see that the market did come down after breaking below this structure, came back for a retest the previous structure support as resistance, and has now started to make moves to the downside. It did actually go ahead and dip down below. We do take that off and run over here. You can see it dip down below right into the support area that it once previous was rejected from before. So from there, we're starting to get a little bounce, but we do have some resistance right in here as well. Just some weekly resistance in here that the market would need to break above before we start to look for possible buy opportunities. So just keep that in mind, that we do still have, even though we did reject these lows down in here, we do still have momentum to the downside, just shown on the weekly time frame as all this movement to the downside. But it looks like we are starting to come into some sort of resistance. If we look at the daily time frame, or support, excuse me, we're starting to come into some level of support. If we look at the daily time frame, we can identify is that we were making lower lows and lower highs on this market as we were making our way down, and then we've most recently made a move to the upside, breaking above some what would be previous structure support, now turned resistance, but we broke and closed above that, so it should act as the opposite. It should act as support if retested, which would line up perfect with the little inverted head and shoulders pattern that could possibly provide some continuation up to this level in here, which is a pretty strong resistance level, is where this move to the downside started. So if it comes back into this area, once again, a reaction, possible one to the downside, could be possible for just trend continuation. But if we do, just keep in mind that immediately on the time frame, we could see a possible move up in here, just caused by this rejection of these lows on the daily time frame. And then we had a momentum candle pushing to the upside, engulfing the previous candles that pushed the market to the downside right in here. So we could see possible continuations to the upside just on a daily time frame for the near future, and then probably the trend continue from a higher time frame perspective to the downside. If we look at XAG USD from the monthly time frame, we've spoken about it, previous structure resistance right in here, acting as support over in here just on the monthly. If we look at the weekly time frame, you can see we are struggling to break below and above some of these areas, so we are kind of trapped in between. We are starting to reject the lows as well if we drop down to the daily time frame, but you can see that we did have this area marked out as a makeshift left shoulder, head, and then a right shoulder for the overall pattern of a possible head and shoulders pattern that could push the market to the downside. So just simply put on the daily time frame, again, these commodities, we had a nice and easy W formation right in here, broke up, came back for the retest. A pattern that completes 80 to 90% of the time. If you want to get some strategies involving these patterns and how to go ahead and take advantage of the moves in the market using these patterns that complete 80 to 90% of the time, check the link in the description. It will take you over to the FX Savant University. You could go ahead and check that out as well. But we did get the move back to the downside, retesting the neckline. From there, we could possibly see the continuation to the upside to come retest some of these areas before a possible move to the downside for the overall trend could continue. If we go over XBT USD from the monthly time frame, this market's been really above this level right in here. This is the level that once staying above, bullish, once below it, bearish. On the monthly time frame, we are currently above that level. On the weekly time frame, you can see we've just been creating and breaking structure to the upside. So we found some structure resistance in here, broke it, did not close above it, but came back down. I found it as resistance and then recently broke and closed above that area, and we are now coming back to retest it as structure support. That was previous resistance over on this side. So we could see a possible continuation to the upside just following the market structure. On this, just from a weekly perspective, if we look at the daily time frame, you can see we had rejection of these lows right in here. We failed to break lower, and then from there we had an explosion to the upside where these two candles engulf the previous two candles to the downside, showing a lot of bullish momentum. And we're recently coming in to retest this area, which does line up perfectly with this W formation at the neckline in order to see a continuation to the upside. So that could be possible. If we drop down to US oil, we've been talking about it, previous structure resistance. Want to see it acting as support over in this area. We did have a move up, but once again, this is the monthly time frame. The way that the candle is now is not the way the candle is going to close. We've been saying that all month. The candle pushed up, has been pushing down, pushed up, pushed back down. But if we drop down to the weekly time frame, we can see that we had a level in the market here that we kind of identified in previous live streams as a left shoulder, head, and then right shoulder, where we don't want to see the market close below this level. We've came in and tapped into this level a few times, once, twice on the weekly. From here, we could possibly see the momentum shift back to the upside and the market make a move, but we still need to see clear direction just from a weekly time frame if you're looking to trade that. On the daily time frame, what can we identify here is that we were waiting for a further continuation breakdown and then a retest of this area for the move to the downside. If the market wanted to do that, if we were looking for buys, we needed to see the market break back above some daily structure before buys would make sense. But as the market is right now, we're just kind of sitting in between these levels. So right in here, a breakout to either side could possibly trigger an opportunity. Excuse me. Euro USD monthly time frame, been pushing to the downside very aggressively, starting to find some support. Monthly time frame starting to push back up for a retracement, not necessarily a reversal. So keep that in mind. On the weekly time frame, we did find some resistance right in here that did hold. So we had a level in the market right around in here that is holding as some weekly support that the market is starting to bounce off of, but we are coming into weekly support that should now act as resistance. It's already acted as resistance once. The market is starting to creep into that area again. Could be a possible move to the downside from there. Just from a weekly time frame, we are starting to get some slow retracement candles as far as just the way that the market looks in this section compared to this section right here. So we had the move to the downside, nice, easy, all the candles same color, moving down very aggressively with some momentum. And then recently we've had some bullish candles climb up with the retracement, starting the retracement. So from here we would need to see some structure broken to the downside and on a daily perspective in order to see the continuation to the downside, which could be possible. We are starting to come into some levels of resistance right in here. So depending on how this candle closes on the day, as well as probably tomorrow, could possibly trigger an opportunity for Wednesday, middle of the week. But if this market continues to climb and break above some structure, then we, on a higher time frame, more like the weekly would have something where we had to move down, move up, move down, move up. We want to see the pattern complete at the neckline, which puts us in line for the trend continuation to the upside. So keep that in mind on Euro USD. If we drop down to GBP USD monthly time frame, been pushing down very aggressively, started the retracement candle, found a little bit of support in this area, but we do know that this candle right here represents what? It's that we've had an impulse to the downside and the retracement. We want to see the next candle fill in the wick. That's just simple market structure. And if we look down on the weekly time frame, you can see that we had the weekly impulse to the downside. We're having the retracement now. Just simple market structure. After an impulse and a retracement, you want to see the impulse continuing the trend. If we are looking at the weekly time frame, we've had weekly structure support right in this area that the market is coming in and failing to break above, retesting multiple times and getting rejected out of this area. We could possibly see a move to the downside if it wants to do that. If we drop down to the daily time frame, just most logically, we wanted to see more continuation to the downside before we started to look for moves to the downside, before we started to look for sales, but it's really just this area. We need to see some daily structure broken to indicate that the market wants to go ahead and continue in that direction. So we've had some structure support all in this area that would need to be broken to the downside, and then we could look for a possible retest. And then we've also had resistance up in this area that would need to be broken to the upside before we start to look for possible buys. That's just logical market structure on a multi-time frame analysis. AUD USD monthly time frame pushing to the downside very aggressively, looking at this area down here amongst these lows. Could be some possible support that could attract the market as well. If we look from the weekly time frame, you can see that we did come into this area, find some rejection, started to find some resistance, and then we also have the support right in this area. We are quite overextended, so more exhaustion could be in order, but since we are so close to these lows, the market is kind of attracting it like a magnet, where we could see just a possible complete bleed out to the bottom side to come tap this area, and then we see from there we start to see the move to the upside for more exhaustion, a deeper correction or something. But we do have previous structure support that should act as resistance just right in this area. The market has already reacted to it, started to push down a little bit. From there we could possibly see the continuation to the downside, so keep that in mind. That could be a possible play. I'm going to go ahead and put that on my watch list. USD CAD from the monthly time frame pushing to the upside very aggressively. Excuse me. Pushing to the upside very aggressively. From the monthly, broken several levels of structure. We can't go in one direction forever. It looks as if this retracement is starting, and once again we do still have 7 days until this candle closes. So the way that the candle is now is not the way that the candle will close. Dropping down to the weekly time frame, you can see we have some weekly structure that the market is starting to respect right in this area. We have weekly structure support indicated by this candle and this candle, both rejecting this area, and then we have an impulse to the downside closing below both structure areas, and then the market coming back to retest the most previous one. From there we could possibly see the continuation to the downside as the market is starting to fail to break above higher. We have level in the market, just all in here, level in the market. We have a break above that level, and then we have immediate break back into this level. Then we have an area that failed to break above that level as well, retesting it, and then we're starting to move to the downside in a very aggressive manner. So we could call that a head and shoulders pattern. Just to keep it tight, we have a move to the upside, move up, move back down, move up, did not break above the left shoulder, and then we have the move to the downside. Almost to the T exact. It doesn't look as clean as a lot of them, but that is the structure move. So everything's not going to be perfect. So just from here, as we are moving to the downside, we're kind of trapped in between these two structure areas. We are aggressively pushing to the upside, so you don't want to get caught holding too many sales, as the market could easily start to make a move to the upside once again. But we would still need to see it break several levels of structure before we start to look for buys that would make sense. NZD USD monthly time frame pushing to the downside very aggressively, but we did come into this level in here, looking as to be some structure support on the monthly time frame. We could expect a bounce. On the weekly, you can see that we did have a very aggressive weekly candle, bullish candle, coming out of that area. And then as well, we are breaking above some structure. Came back to retest that structure this week, early this week. If we look at the daily time frame, you can see that it's just breaks of structures coming back to retest, broke down, came back, found some resistance, failed to break lower, found some structure support in this area, came back, retested that area as resistance, dropped a little lower, broke above it, came back, retested that area as support, broke above it, coming back to retest areas of resistance now as support. Once again, we could see moves to the upside just coming out of this market. But either way, we would like to see a break above this area, or necessarily some breaks back down below this area before we start to look for possible moves either way. So just a simple, nice and easy breakout. Could look for continuations. And then if the market does want to go ahead and break below some structure, possible continuation to the downside could be in order, but it is very strong monthly support right in here. So not necessarily want to look for too many sales as it is coming into that area. You would like to see that area break first before you start to look for opportunities. USD CHF monthly time frame. You know, this is my baby, my example for everything. Just the most common pattern in the market. Keep it simple and sweet. The most common pattern in the market is a break above some structure. So we break above some resistance in this case, come back, retest that area, have it acting as support, and then from there we go ahead and continue the trend and create a higher high. Same thing to the downside, making moves, break structure, come back, retest that structure, and then we continue in that direction. Just really simple. That's how the market moves. It's the most common pattern in the market. It happens on all time frames, more times than any other patterns, and it completes a lot as well. It's not 100% holy grail, but if we look from the monthly time frame, you can see that we've had a break of structure from here, came back, retested this area as structure, which was the previous structure resistance, and from there we've created a higher high, already completing the pattern, which does complete. So what you want to do is be able to get in on this pattern when the next impulse starts, so you can capitalize on the move to the upside. You don't want to be getting in as the retracement comes, because you don't know if the retracement is actually a retracement or it could be another impulse to the downside, a reversal. So you want to wait until the retracement ends, and then you want to get in when the impulse starts. So imagine if you could have gotten in with all this, just say somewhere around here, and you're looking for a higher high up in here, so you're talking 600 pips. If you have the strategies that we use, we're able to capitalize on these moves as well, even from a monthly time frame perspective, able to trade this profitably. But if we look at the weekly time frame, you can see that we did want to see some sort of retracement in this area, just simply matching up with move to the downside, move up, move down, move up. Want to see the pattern complete at the neckline. We did start to push up this week, but there could possibly be continuations to the downside to go ahead and test this area right in here. If we drop down to the daily time frame, you can see we're failing to break above, and not only that, we had a false breakout, swiping a lot of people's orders in here, grabbing some orders, stopping some people out, triggering some buy stops as well. Some momentum traders, some breakout traders, and then as well people that were selling from here stopped them out, hit their stop loss, and they were starting to make moves to the downside. So if this market does want to continue down to the downside, I would like to look for opportunities below this, possibly day trade it to the downside, looking for a day trade before the market starts to make a move to the upside. If it wants to do that, we have been making higher highs and higher lows on this market. Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, just on this market. It's only market structure, so keep that in mind. Could be a possible play. If the market breaks down below some of this structure, we could see it move to the downside, which would put us actually in some sort of makeshift left shoulder, all this head area, another right shoulder. If the market breaks down to this area, we could see possible moves down, but that is further down the road. Just simply, if the market breaks down, want to see it come into this area before continuing to the upside. And then we'll go over USD JPY monthly time frame, pushing to the upside very aggressively. We do have some previous structure right in this area that could attract the market. Just simply put, previous structure broken, yet to be retested, can expect to be respected. If we drop down to the weekly time frame, you can see we did start the retracement candle right here. Even though this weekly candle is starting to make a move up, still have the rest of the week. The way that this candle is now is not going to be the way the candle closes. You can see we're quite overextended as well to the upside on this market. So the market can't go in one direction forever. Even if it does make these explosive moves to the upside, it needs to come back for a retracement of some sort in order to continue to the upside. And most likely we're coming back to retest previous structure resistance, the most common pattern in the market, now turn support, and then from there we create a higher high. If we drop down to the daily time frame, you can see that we've had a quite bearish candle formed, and that from there we could see a possible move to come retest some of these areas down in here, and that could possibly give us the momentum to see some of these areas down in here retested. Now that may take a while to develop, but simply put, we are starting to make a move to the downside with this very aggressive candle until this market starts to break back up to the upside or gives us some structure to go off of, and that indicates that the market wants to continue to the upside. As of right now, we'll not be looking for buys. Could be looking for possible shorts to the downside just on a short-term basis. By the time Wednesday comes around, a couple candles will have developed and we'd have a better idea of where the market is headed. But as it is right now, even though we are creating higher highs and higher lows, higher highs and higher lows at an extreme rate on this market, USD JPY, with this candle forming, engulfing the last 4 candles that was printed, I would like to see more buyers step in with some more momentous candles before I start to look for buys. So simply just a possible break below some of this structure could trigger me to look for shorts to the downside. Not nothing deep, maybe something right around in here. Possible shorts lining up, and then possible continuations to the upside if the market wants to do that. You know, we slide down and touch on BTC USD from the monthly time frame. Previous structure resistance, keeping it simple, consistent. Previous structure resistance now acting as support in this area. Just want to see a little bounce. We did get that with this candle, and then we started to come back down again. We are failing to break lower, so we are finding some support, which in terms means we're finding a double bottom, which is a bullish pattern. You want to see the market move to the upside after a double bottom is created. A failure to continue lower. You can see that right around the 18,000 price point, right around that area, is some structure support as indicated by all these wicks bouncing into this area as well. On the weekly time frame, we are just consolidating cold winter right now, not really doing too much in terms of volatility. So nothing really too crazy to get excited about or antsy about on Bitcoin. If we look at the daily time frame, you can see that we've had previous structure resistance right in this area, indicated by this structure candle. So we've had resistance all in here. The market is failing to break above, and then we're as well failing to break below some of these areas down in here. So until we break below or until we break above, either way, it's just best to sit on your hands until a clear move is possible. And so that really wrap it up. I'm gonna check the chats, any pairs anybody wants me to go over. What is that? What? Nothing, I don't see nothing too much. All right, bet. Slide that over just a minute. But nothing. All right, that'll conclude this live stream. We'll be back on Wednesday in between 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully I feel a little better. I know you could probably tell by my voice and my sniffling. Just a little congested, taking my meds, getting right. I got to get back. Health is important. So yeah, check the link in the description. Go over there and check out the program. It offers a few strategies that know how to go ahead and take advantage of the way that I'm analyzing the market and these breakdowns. Just simply finding the direction and being able to capitalize on that on a smaller time frame, whether it's swing trading or day trading. Both strategies are offered in the program. Help you analyze the market in a more consistent way and just overall have clarity. So yeah, check that out. Drop a thumbs up for the consistent uploads. If you want one on Wednesday, go ahead and drop a thumbs up on this video. But I'm sure I will be there. It'll just give me some extra motivation. Make sure you're subscribed, post notifications on, and I hope you're having a profitable day on and off the charts. Until Wednesday.
It's 16 hours.
Perfect timing.